Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're going to be taking a look at a game that was played quite recently here on White Fire Remake. It's a map that I absolutely adore. I feel like always the best strategies do come out on this map, so I'm super excited to drop into today's game, where our blue team leader, a 32.68 open skill commander, is going to be showing us some good old-fashioned Armada gameplay and going to be spawning in the backline. It's going to be none other than Total Dannihilation. Yeah, Total Dannihilation. There we go. It's a tricky one. It's trickier than it sounds. Say it 10 times fast, then I guess comment it 10 times fast, right? I guess that's a better way of saying that. Anyway. Spawning on the other side here, spawning in the far left-hand corner, also as an Armada commander, going for that double solar start on this very wind-punishing map. It's going to be none other than Mirrored. Mirrored of the APM clan, going to be showing us some good old-fashioned Armada gaming as well. Spawning as a beautiful Armada commander in the red coloring, though. Does look a little bit strange. I don't know. I feel like Armada just fits in blue. We've got like decades of Armada in blue and core in red. It feels very odd to see them otherwise in the wrong colors here. But indeed, Mirrored here. Going to be our 35.53 open skill hero, spawning in the back. Well, on a frontline position, but spawning all the way in the back left-hand corner of this map. Pumping out a resbot first. Actually, a double resbot first. Okay. Is there a lot of rocks on this map? I don't think the answer is yes. No, not really. A lot of trees early on, so these resbots are going to be a nice energy boost, at least for a little while, the next 3 or 4 minutes or so. But once those are gone, I mean, I guess it's not like you can't reuse these in the front line too, right? It's a huge energy boost. You can get that con out very nicely. Don't have to go into too many more solar panels. And then, of course, you can start to scale the economy off of inefficient wind turbines later on as an Armada commander. They're a little more forgiving. But it is nice to have these around, as long as you keep them around, right? If they're not sniped by a run-by, if you can keep them in the play, you're going to be in a great way. Ooh, look at that. Okay, early Finch Scout does come across, is going to find a wonderful look here. In fact, we'll switch on over to the player view of the blue team, as we can see a beautiful look right now that the green commander gets over the top of the entire red team. Okay, that is beautiful. Hovercraft start, my goodness, okay. Well, that's going to be an interesting one right there. Why on earth do we have a hovercraft lab? Our 10 open skill German hero, Skirmishes. Yeah, Skirmishes. Going to be opening hovercrafts, okay. Very, very curious to see why we've gone for a hovercraft lab here, but at the very least we do also still have this plane lingering overhead, and it looks like we found 7 out of the 8 players, and we will shortly here. There we are. Find that last commander in yellow. Cat the VAT, also of the APM clan. In fact, it looks like we have a huge portion of the APM clan here today. We have 4 APM members in the red team so far. I do always like taking a look at those games that include a whole bunch of teammates, right? Especially if they're communicating in a Discord. Sometimes you get really novel plays out of that sort of a thing. Early grunt run by the way. Losing it to a couple of ticks here. Shuriken will head over to try and help out with this, and that does mean we can finally send a couple of those ticks to go clean all this up. Likewise, we have a little bit of aggression over here as the grunts try and find some purchase. All said and done, though, this map is quite difficult to find a run by on. Typically, this is the lane that we see it, so I'm not surprised here to see that the Orange Commander managed to slip at least one of those grunts through, but it will be shut down. And yeah, I mean, with the core commander in air too, OSK here, in fact, for the blue team at this point, going to be going for those shuriken. It makes it nearly impossible. As long as Air's paying attention, it makes it nearly impossible to get any kind of aggression done. Yeah, it's just so difficult. All right, scout plane here from Elmo. Our light pink commander on the red team, our German light pink commander, will be sending across one of these planes. A fighter will spot it and will be moving to intercept. There we go. Fighters away, and boom, goes the fighter. Okay, nicely done. Denying a lot of scouting right here. We do know where some of the frontliners are here. Fortress Side DK, California, and Control Freak. I believe Took was also spotted there as well. We know where a lot of the frontliners are. We know what lanes they're going to be in, but that's not really going to be a surprise. Really, the only info you don't know about is who's going to be air, who's going to be the backline, and maybe sometimes who's going to be on these outer edges. Sometimes those can last a little bit longer. Nice snipe right here from the Orange Commander. Just like I was saying, this is the only lane that we ever really see major run-by action on because it's, well, a super short rush distance and it's very wide open for the Orange Commander to get into. It's quite difficult here for the Lavender Commander to get into. We basically have to see the Lavender Comm get down here and hold a giant open area right here. We have to basically pork all this up with some LLTs, like 2 LLTs will do the job, and then you have to move out into this giant open area here as well, where you're super exposed to multiple different lanes. Literally 3 different lanes can all attack you simultaneously. If your teammates aren't 100% on top of it to cover you when those armies move out of position to hit you, you will die. You will lose, and it's how we see most of the games lost right here. It's a lose condition, I would say, more so than a win condition, because it's so much easier to win than lose this lane. Or it's easier to it's very hard to win this lane is what I'm trying to say. Radar called out over here. Love to see it. Always helpful. You know, remind those teammate commanders. Pardon me while I turn my fan on. It is getting a bit warm in here. One of those perks of living in the desert. It's literally hot even in the winter. Bomber coming across right here. Fighter. Oh, nice connection from the fighter. Hey, that fighter basically matching speed with the bomber. Will shoot it down before it even connects against the tan base. That is a moment where you gotta just close your eyes and pray that the air player saves you. And indeed, this time, that's going to be the case. Nicely done by Elmo there. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cabin, the hover tank for Cortex coming out here to play. Snap its jaws on top of some of these units right here. It's a weird choice. Not better than a medium tank, but more expensive. Sumos would be really the only reason I can imagine going for this. Halberds, I mean, sorry. I call them sumos because that's effectively what they are. Like, numbers-wise, they're basically a sumo that's a little more expensive. In fact, they might not even be that much more expensive. I think they might be a tiny bit more expensive, but not by much. Yeah, a little grunt push here. Not going to be able to do all too much. I will say, I suppose, the hovercraft do have the advantage of not being hindered nearly as much by the hills as the normal vehicles are. They can technically traverse anything that a bot can. They look real funky when they're doing it, but technically speaking, they can do it. Technically speaking, the best kind of speaking.
Commander has died.
We got a commander death in the chat. There it is. Red commander does go down. My goodness. Wandering a little too close for comfort. 3% HP left on fortress side. DK. Oh, go in. Go in with the pawns. Oh, we could... of course, as a commander, you don't know exactly how much HP is left here. He's not sure if this is 3% HP or 15% HP. Very difficult to call that. If we had gone in with the pawns, this all would have blown up and it would have cleared the field here. All the follow-up units would have been able to run by. It could have done huge damage, but unfortunately, not going to be the case right here. Wreckage still within contesting range. We could certainly see both of these teams vying for control over it. The Resbots are in position, moving in now as the pawns go to attack the medium tanks. They need cover here. I would like to see these LLTs resurrected, but we will now finally get on top of that corpse and start reclaiming that 1,000 or so metal. Okay. Going to very quickly shoot up the economy right here of the Red Commander, completely filling that metal bar and sending a whole bunch of metal back. Ooh, I need to micro those back. Okay. Lazarus, oh, one of them does go. I think it was a little bit of friendly fire there, actually. But the Lazarus, most of them anyways, will manage to retreat. Very nicely done. We have some lightning turrets coming up in the back here, actually. Not bad. I don't mind lightning turrets. When you're going up against vehicles, it can be useful. Rocket bots flexing over to put on a little bit of pressure. This is exactly what I was talking about. There's so much flexibility on this map to put pressure on multiple players. If you're not paying attention right now, like effectively Fortress side DK should be putting pressure on the left-hand side here, making sure these rocket bots don't feel comfortable to ever move over this far and harass poor California, who's now down to just 19% HP. Oh no. Boom goes the Cyan Commander because of no reaction here from the left-hand side from Fortress DK. Didn't really have units to contest it anyways. Gunslinger coming out to try and help, and we do have the Resbots moving in to eat up that metal, and again, it's going to be so quick. Another 1,000 or so metal down into the gullets here of the Red Commander, and that is a wonderful snipe. Now Resbot's going to back off as the Gunslinger does come out, but already most of that wreckage has been reclaimed. Gunslinger changes the way that this front line has to be played. We're so delicate now, because that Gunslinger is effectively immortal when microed properly. Front line over here not looking too bad either. The critical mass of thugs has been reached where we can now kind of just brawl against these tanks. I will say, the Cayman are, as always whenever I say something is quite bad, performing quite well. Rocketbots here doing a bunch of flanking as well, though, from the Orange Commander. And again, we're seeing that sort of flexing into different positions here, right? But we do see a much better response right now from Lavender. Control Freak sending out the units to put on some pressure is lovely stuff. That LLT is only half powered, and we need to see a little bit of a spread. If we spread these units out, they're going to be quite a bit more effective. You can see this rocket bot isn't firing at anything. This one can barely fire too. It's a matter of surface area. You want to maximize it. Centurion here in the mix as well for a little bit of anti-spam. I quite like that. Not super necessary against the thugs. Pawns would actually do better against the thugs in mass, but I still don't mind the Centurion. It also lends a bunch of bulk to the comp, which is quite good. Now Orange Commander forced into a weird spot where we either have to pull the units back to try and deal with these that are just casually walking behind the front line, or we have to just continue the push right here. And now Shuriken can come out, so that's super awkward. Anti-air is available, so they can't go too far. But yeah, it means that this front line is in a little bit of a tricky spot. Vehicle transition here for the Lavender Commander. Control Freak will get that vehicle lab up and running. No bot lab in the back here. Do we have any Resbots still saved over? I don't believe so. Yeah. 1 or 2 Resbots kept in reserve to save those vehicles and eat up all the metal that we go around and kill. Usually ideal. Not gonna happen this time. The hero gunslinger, my goodness. Single-handedly holding together this front line. Obviously, gunslingers are kind of weird. They don't have a lot of HP. They have what in, I guess, like an MMO or an RPG or whatever would be called regeneration sustain. They don't have high HP, but they have high regen, which means that they can kind of brawl and then back off and brawl and back off. If they take a little bit of damage, it doesn't matter as long as they can back off for a minute to repair themselves. And then they're right back up to full HP. So every kill that they get makes them a little stronger and a little bit better and, well, obviously quite a bit more efficient, too. I mean, this is kind of the perfect way of doing this, right? You slow down this front line a whole lot just by... Oh, that was a juicy connection. Sorry. Those Wolverines got a beautiful connection into the pieces right there. You can see all those units are damaged. All I was trying to say is that it slows down this front line a whole lot having this gunslinger out here. But obviously, those shell shockers, or Wolverines rather, doing wonderful work as well. Ooh, another juicy connection, or at least we're trying to. It's an APM tax, right? It forces the Red Commander into trying to constantly micro those units back and forth. It's give way less time to actually focus on the base. My goodness, though, what a bunch of Rocketeers. Where are the Resbots? Bin Bounty has a wonderful control over this midsection right here. Loads of LLTs all over the place. Wouldn't mind seeing some more pressure coming down in this direction. Again, we're 2v1 over here. Well, technically we're 2v2, but it's a very skewed battle, right? Because the blue team... In fact, let me slow this down for a second. I don't do this too often. Let's slow this down for just a second. The blue team here is effectively fighting a giant concave into a very narrow convex. You can see there's all these different points to attack from. This angle of attack right here is probably about a 30 to 40% advantage from flanking bonus. It's gigantic. It means, I mean, you can effectively imagine having 40% more units here, right? It's a huge, huge advantage, and it's very easy to underestimate, but it means that every single one of your fights is going to be 40% more efficient, and it's why I love to see the Pink Commander is finally putting some pressure on over here. It means that all of a sudden Bin Bounty can't push any further forward without losing a huge portion of the side over here. Now it is nicely done from the Shuriken, saving the day over on that side. Coming out from the air, trying to paralyze these thugs in range of the LLTs is quite nice. Obviously, it means the static defense can actually kill this stuff 100% efficiently. Not something we often see from LLTs, but when we do, it is a nice play indeed. Anti-air up and running now, so we are going to... Oh, it's actually an AA bot. That's cute. I love the AA bot here for the Shuriken. That's perfect. Next question, of course, becomes what on earth are we going to do with our T2 transition? Both teams ready for that T2 as we start to get those T2 mexes built up and queued up here. As T2 rolls around the bend, we are going to see Sheldon, of course, coming out in mass. We have T2 coming up here for the Red Commander, actually already built, so we're going to start scaling that eco-scaling. One construction turret to build wind turbines, and the rest, well, the rest of the cons, I suppose, are just going to be helping the T2 con here just to build up those T2 mexes. It means that this front line is stalled out, but there's still some progress being made by the Red Commander. Ah, we're going to make a vehicle transition on the front line. Okay. Risky for sure, but we have the radar jammer to deny any radar intelligence, and of course, as long as this isn't scouted, it's not the end of the world. Agitator here actually within firing range of all this, which is a little bit awkward. Without vision, it's not going to be able to do all too much, but still a little bit awkward. Sheldon without a radar or radar jammer bot, also slightly underpowered at the moment. Not firing at their full accuracy, although still connecting most of the time. A significant portion of the time. Sheldon coming out for green too, though. Once you get into a weird Sheldon versus Sheldon battle, it really just becomes a numbers game. Not the most strategically deep sort of RTS strategy, but it is what it is. I mean, that's how mirror matchups go in virtually every RTS game. There's those radar on radar jammer. That's nice. Yeah, having that radar on radar jammer makes the Sheldon way more effective. Magnitudes more effective here. Medium tanks rolling in. Serious lack of statics or units here in position. Oh, did we see it? Oh, we just barely didn't see the laboratory. Oh, no. Oh, T2 laboratory doesn't get scouted right there by the Lavender Commander, or by the Seafoam Green Commander. That's actually huge. That's a way bigger mistake. Well, it's not a mistake. It's a way bigger, unfortunate misplay, I guess you could call it. Obviously, Seafoam Green didn't know that that was there, but the lack of scouting does mean that all of a sudden this T2 transition rather is going to be effectively uncontested. Now we have missile trucks out, ready to fire away. Those missiles hit hard, and they're going to start taking down this agitator quick. My goodness, over 50% HP per missile, and we've got 3 of them. Boom, boom! Down goes the agitator, and doesn't even leave a wreckage. That's a huge waste of metal down the drain right there. And now I've got T2 on the front line, which is just great, of course. It means we can start scaling up to higher tech units, and this army hasn't brawled poorly either here. Thugs blasting away, Sheldon firing too, and overall with the radar jammer as well, things are looking quite nice here. T2 mechs is coming up as well. It means this economy looks like we're still fighting T1, but really, this is a full T2 army, and we do have the Tsar out and running. That's a huge hitter. Oh my goodness, okay. Into the meat grinder. The T1 army evaporating as the Tsar laying some juicy shots into that T1 ball of pain. Metal falling left, right, and center, exploding into atomized mist. And suddenly the Sheldon are practically the only thing that can actually fight here. Love the Tsar transition. I mean, obviously the Tsar transition is powerful, but right here, in this context, it makes a lot of sense too. Firing away now at the static defenses, of course. Just going to start firing away at whatever we can, really. Tsar needs to be supported, otherwise the Sheldon will just kill it. It's this sort of moment where you want to make a Tsar and then about 100 Tiger tanks, or maybe even something a little bit lighter. Just maybe switch into bot labs, 2 bot labs, and start pumping out bunch of grunts, something like that. Fool of a Took. Okay. Anyways. I don't even know what that means. Anyways, we do have a dead commander over here. No doubt the Sheldon and thugs and all the rest of this holding on, or maces rather, holding on to all this. I got a little bit of a push going on over here, but this is, again, all T1. And as that T2 comes up and running, especially, well, there we go. We got a Persecutor pop-up plasma artillery coming up and running right now. As this stuff comes up to speed, it's going to be super easy to start pushing a lot of this back. As long as you have vision on it, that Persecutor is going to get huge value. It's value over time, right? So the earlier you build it, the more time it has to build up that value. There it goes. Lobbing high-energy condensed matter projectiles into the back line and into Control Freak's main artillery core. That Persecutor is going to be super annoying to deal with. It can hit basically this entire front line right here for Control Freak, and that is almost unstoppable. We need a radar jammer here to deny the radar visibility, so we get, at the very least, the most out of our front line. But man, that is slowly arcing up the value. Sheldon taking a stroll down south as they try to find whatever value they can. Metal extractors, of course, a valuable target, and the LLT is going to die too. Well, that's the Tan Commander going down here to the T2 forces encroaching from the green and purple command. Well, green commander with T2 and blue from, or T1 from purple. Do we have any, like, huge eco-scaling going on? Time to check the backlines. Fusion reactor mostly here for Cat the Vat, who's been supporting with a bunch of units handed out all over the place. Blue commander, likewise, in a similar situation. We're going for some of that Armada T2, so we have welders coming out here. Going to start reinforcing that front line, sending those welders all around. Do we have any sharpshooters? Those are kind of the other thing we're looking for here on the front. They can be very useful. You have to keep them microed properly. This is the issue with T1, right? So see, the Sheldon can fire past each other super effectively. The rocket bots effectively can't. Nice spread right here, though, from the purple commander. Making the most of it. You have to spread these out so ridiculously hard. And for what it's worth, the rocket bots have gotten more value than I anticipated they would. I figured there'd be basically no kills here, but they have managed to bring down at least a couple of those Sheldon. Scaring them offline at the very least, and as long as we can maybe get some of this reclaim back, too, it's not the end of the world. Tick spam coming up, but countered by the grunt spam here from Degent. We also have one of those. Oh, no, it's actually not an armed metal extractor, just a regular one. Coming up and running here. Missile trucks, though, firing into the distance. Oh, we missed the laboratory. Do we know where the lab is? Oh, we don't know where the lab is. Yeah, we know there's something over here, but we don't know where the lab is. An air scout wouldn't be the end of the world, but of course, fighters patrolling constantly over here are gonna have the last word about that sort of a thing. Both teams sort of slowly sinking into that T2 era of the game, right? We're all looking around, wondering what the next step is going to be. Right here, it's going to be a siege core from the red commander as we move into some of those siege-heavy units. Starlight supported by Bulls, very powerful. Once you get up to 5 or 6 of those Starlights, especially in early T2, there's just nothing you really can do. They're, especially with the tick spam, going to have plenty of vision and, of course, tons of firepower. Persecutor cannon to help out with all this as well, and those HLTs, all the build power. All the rest of it's going to fall. It's putting Fortress Side DK in a little bit of a timer. Space warping jammer right there gets blown apart by the rockets. And the Starlight's going to be pretty good for blasting the rest of this away as well. Control Freak going for that T2. We do have loads of metal on the ground right here, but it's actually a build power constraint. Try to get that T2 up and running, but we just don't have it quite yet. And again, we need a jammer to keep the long-range plasma off of us. This side, however, has been well won. Not a big fan of the T1 units, though. I'd like to see these reclaimed. Just send a bunch of resbots and pull these back. Start reclaiming them one by one. You'll get the full metal cost out of them, which means you can pay for them in T2 units, which are going to be miles more efficient. Build, power, energy, and metal efficient. But what a rallying of the forces. Powder blue, dark green, and purple. All rallying right here on this side in order to put on the hurt. Okay. Well, I will tell you what, that is a fabulous little path of wreckage here for the reclamation. If either of these teams manages to reclaim all that, it's going to be a pretty compelling argument for a GG scenario. You can use it to go all the way up to T3. You can use it to pump out an overwhelming number of T2. There's a lot of different ways you can turn this into a win condition. Maybe transition to air and help out the air forces with more fighters, something like that too. Any of those are a good idea right here. Love the welders in front, by the way, to absorb a bunch of that spam while the Sheldon work away at everything from the backline. It's exactly what we want to see. A little bit of Armada Cortex teamwork right there. That's rare, but very, very exciting. For whatever reason, the ferret here is the primary target everyone's worried about. Man, those welders do such good work against the spam, though. Basically uncontestable here by the grunts. Meanwhile, blue grunts managed to break through. We're headed for a little bit of a yin-yang base race.
Commander has died.
Commander will go down to the Starlights, firing away. Anti-air not quite up to the front line. We have it on the way, but it's not there yet. It means the Shuriken can still get some value, though. With the commander down, it does mean that D-guns are no longer on the table, so we have to worry about killing these units legitly. Gunships in the air are going to be quite scary, but as soon as those AA trucks, the shredders, do make their way up, they're going to fall apart pretty quick. T2 anti-air is nothing to scoff at. Seriously high-powered. It's a very efficient way to lose a lot of metal, is throwing a bunch of gunships into anti-air. What else can you do, though? There's Starlights moving towards the base, and we need something to shut those down. Fiends are nice, but only in mass can they really effectively do what we need them to. Starlights here, I mean, there's only 3 of them, but it's more than enough to start blasting away. It's faster than the production of the Cyan Commander, and that's all that matters. The front is dead, and the backline is too. Sheldon moving into the base. Meanwhile, this attack has been largely repelled. A couple of grunts sneaking in, but all said and done, I think most of this is pushed back. Hounds and Sheldon redoubling their efforts and trying to move forward here. Nice Juno missile connects with the dead center of that army with the anti-air moving in. Not able to fire too hard, but, you know, still very threatening. Rocket trucks firing away too. Always cool to see. Down goes the production. No more T2 units here out of the Seafoam Green Commander. That's Fortress side DK. Put up a good fight and fought hard, but will not have fought hard enough to stay alive here. I mean, that's not fair. There is constructors over here. We're almost done with the Rattlesnake. And a couple of Marauders from the Blue Commander who's rushed all the way out to T... Well, not a rush per se, but has gone all the way up to T3. And now we'll be able to counterattack with something a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more capable of dealing with the high damage of these T2 units. The mass gunship's taking a beating right there. Way too clumped up, means most of them will be within an inches of death's door. Struggle to get through that sentence, but you get what I mean. Within inches of death's door. Sometimes I get very wrapped up in the excitement of Beyond All Reason. A lot of people have asked, when will I ever lose the excitement for Beyond All Reason? It happens on occasion. I'll feel a little bit burnt out. I'll stop playing. I'll stop watching Bar for about a day. And then I miss it and I come right back. Just for that kind of a thing. Beautiful bomber hit right there. Oh, that was juicy. Bomber dead center nails that composition of Sheldon and what is that? Aggravators and thugs and whatnot. Oh, and another middle hit. Beautiful. Well, that was more of a glancing blow, but still. Huge, huge connections. That one's a little bit better right there. Means that all those Sheldon are shut down. No anti-air to speak of for a Green Commander is atrocious for such an expensive T2 composition. Alright. Bombers saving the day here. The air player for the red team, in fact, in general, saving the day here, I want to say. Fighters coming out to finally clear the airspace, but they're just too slow. They don't manage to save it in time. And it means that more and more units are going to start rebuilding to reclaim their ancestral homeland. A couple of bulls pushing through the midsection here. Almost being friendly fired. Wow, okay. Careful with the missiles, guys. Oh, D-Gun is away. Manages to catch all 3 of the bulls, and they're shot down. Nicely done by D-Gent there, the orange commander of the APM.
Commander has died.
Fiends will be able to snipe the commander over here on this side, though, and it does mean that... Are these still firing at themselves? Oh, you're shooting yourself. You're shooting yourself. Where's that last missile? Oh, it went over there. Okay. Laboratory in jeopardy. Red commander sees an opportunity and is more than willing to take it here. Again, another lab shut down means that another commander is no longer producing units, means there's more time to eco, or of course, also more time to just go ahead and put on some more aggression, pile on more units. Never a bad idea. Starlight's coming within, or Starlight rather, coming within range of the laboratory. Whole bunch of fiends running in as well. We're gonna self-destruct all these. That would just be the cutest thing ever. Mass self-D on the lab just to make sure it stays dead. Oh, we're not gonna kill the lab? Oh, okay. Well, yikes. Build power's still up and running too. I don't know. We needed that lab to go down, guys. Is that a... Oh yeah, it sure is a Vanguard. Okay. Fiends are difficult to catch. The Marauders are not a bad choice for it, though. The Vanguard firing away here. Trying to find an appropriate targeting solution. Boom. The poor Fiend never stood a chance. A little bit of salt coming out here from our Green Commander Trevbolt as that same pressure from the early game is continually reapplied right here. The moment you stop looking at all the angles on this map, I mean, there is just dozens of ways that you can be flanked and attacked and crumbled on all sorts of sides, even after a beautiful attack of your own. Super, super easy for that sort of thing to happen on this map, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. You can see our Green Commander is basically super afraid to push in at this point, because as soon as the units move in, they're going to get counterattacked, either on this lane, or on this lane, or on this lane, or worst of all, if they go through directly to the back line, of course. If we take a higher perspective here, still a relatively even match, but the red team does have the energy advantage ever so slightly, and a very slight metal advantage. Blue team are claiming some of that with a little bit of reclaim power. Marauders kind of out of position. I think we need them over here to intercept the bulls. And we have the Rattlesnake coming up. Oh, we have the Paralyzer coming up too. I do love the Paralyzer. Hey, where'd our anti-air go? We had 3 Shredder trucks with the last push. I guess lesson was not learned here as the Shuriken now come out in order to deal with all this. Pinging for air to save the day, but no air will be had here. Where are the flak trucks? A mystery as old as beyond our reason itself, I would say. Fighters eventually sweeping away a whole bunch of these T2 aircraft that will fire once or twice to take out those, probably 3 or 4 times really, to take out those gunships. And as they fall to the ground, the tanks feel much more secure in pushing forward. Really, the Shuriken are actually much more dangerous than the gunships are. As odd as that sounds to say. I guess that's fair, right? I mean, I feel like most people nowadays are more afraid of drones than they are of, like, a heavy bomber. Not that a heavy bomber doesn't rock your world pretty badly, but... Speaking of which, by the way. Speaking of which, build power goes down on the T2 lab here for the air player in the backline. Ooh, E-converters pop right there, doing a bunch of damage as well. Speaking of rocking your world, the, yeah, bombers do manage to take out a little bit of that backline eco. Certainly putting the scare in the Pink Commander's boots right there, because yeah, losing all that eco and all that build power suddenly to a bunch of bombers means your airfield, it just wasn't quite as powerful as you thought it once was. Sumo's actually just waddling their way across. Okay, not bad. Marauders, of course, still in position to try and fight a lot of this, but they're having a hard time. Sure, gonna paralyze the Sumo here, not bad. Eventually they'll do a great job. There we go. Okay, Sumo's paralyzed. Means that these units have free reign to start firing away here. Of course, the Grunt's going to very slowly chip them down, but that's kind of what they're made for. Shuriken making it super efficient, though. Don't have to worry about how matchups work or trade efficiencies or any of that if the entire unit is paralyzed. Kind of why I like this Paralyzer over here as well. These missiles are going to take a minute to charge up, but you can imagine one juicy connection with one of those missiles against a big bundled up ball of Shiva. Yeah, you're in for a pretty good treat. Not to mention, of course, those missiles are pretty wide-ranged as well. This thing can reach pretty far. Yeah, we could reach all the way into this red frontline lab here. We could paralyze the fusions, which would be super annoying. We could, of course, paralyze the lab itself, which would also effectively shut down production. There's a lot of options when you have one of these paralyzers in a really good strategic spot like this, and I love to see it. I hope Fortress Side DK can get some huge connections out of it. One of my favorite strategies as an Armada main myself. How's our economy looking back here? Not terrible. Loads of fusion reactors, double APHIS is enough for full T3 production. Wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of passive scaling, though. It's the one thing we're kind of missing right here for blue. We have a nuke coming up, by the way, for our Green Commander. Okay. Thinking about some endgame solutions here. Actually, no anti-nuke for the red team. Oh, yikes. No anti-nuke whatsoever. We have no anti-nuke on this frontline lab, no anti-nuke on the main eco center here for the yellow commander, no anti-nuke anywhere to be had. Okay. Blue team, a little bit better prepared for nuclear destruction. We have quite a few anti-nukes protecting the backline. Still some exposed frontline units and frontline areas here. Oh, tell me this missile is going to connect. This should be the juiciest connection of all reason, beyond all reason. There's so much potential with these things. Their missile travels pretty fast too. It means that there's not a lot of reaction time. It's usually pretty easy to predict where to send it. Yep, there we go. Very nice. Missile away. Oh, did we read it properly? Shiva trying to move out of the way. Oh, he missed with the missile. Nice read from the red commander. I hope Mirrored was paying attention. That should be your signal that you really need to spread these units out, right? We're talking about a giant circle right here. We want a huge spread on these units, so at the very most, only a few of them are paralyzed at a time. EMP is recharged, so we can fire away once more. If we get a juicy EMP and we cut this army basically in half, I think the blue team can do it. It's like a 35-second EMP paralyzation. It's huge. Fire the missile. Fire the missile. We need to predict where they're moving a little bit. We need to fire back here. Do the thing. Oh, the army's already dead. Okay, well, I didn't see where he put it either. Ugh. It hurts. It hurts my heart. Catapults working away on the front lines here as we start to rapid fire, high impact missile volley down all these plebeians on the front line. Fiends also crashing against that wall in the front here as well. What in the name of radar and radar jammers? We've got the craziest wall of radar jamming known to Cortex kind. Catapult on the high ground. Oh, we're losing it right now. Yikes. Okay. Little bit out of position. Not the end of the world, obviously, but it does hurt. Shiva and Mammoth pushing it over here. That's a very difficult comp to break. We need things like Vanguard in order to break this, or Razorback can work pretty good, too. Marauder a little bit sketch. Don't have super high HP. Those Mammoths can blast them down kind of quickly. Still almost a dead even game, though. Both teams neck and neck as far as the eco goes. A very slight advantage here for the red team. They do have the army value advantage, though. That's probably all these Shiva that are out on the field here. Nuclear bombers coming in. Hey, that's one way to deal with them. Nuclear bombers taking out the majority of the Shiva and scratching up the ones that remain. Bin Bounty. The guy who got set on fire 5 times gets set on fire a 6th time. Nice Nuki Bees. Razor Boys coming out here as well, and they're going to be nice for cleaning up all the rest of this run by, of course, the ultimate anti-spam. This push was cleaned up quite nicely here as well, I will say. The Shiva holding the line. They're so cheap and so disposable, but so powerful for that, right? You can make 100 of them. Shield generator goes down, I mean the Shiva can continue firing away. Those volley missiles are super powerful as they keep on marching on. Mammoth, unstoppable. This looks so nukeable to me. Oh, he dropped the missile early. Dropped the missile early, and there must be, yeah, there's some anti-air in there to try and take these out as well. What were we bombing? Oh, we must have bombed the, oh, there it is. Heavy bombers, I didn't even see him in the mix right there. Okay, a couple of heavy bombers escorted into this. I mean, those can work too. A little bit less noticeable than the nuclear bombers, which is, you know, case in point why even I didn't catch them seeing there. The Mammoths are the real threat here, though. I mean, they have so much sustain, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. That's what the nuclear bombs were targeting, by the way. It's why they were dropped so early. Ooh, yeah, the blue commander kind of went all in on the air, and it hasn't paid off. We needed those T3 ground forces. Shivas, Marauders. I mean, we had a lot of Marauders, don't get me wrong, but yeah, once all of them went away, once the T3 kind of disintegrated, that was basically it. Abductors can work here too. That's the powder blue base going up in smoke right there. Ladies and gentlemen, it will end up being basically the T2 push that ends up winning this game. The Shiva make their way all into the back line, and they're going to be the decisive winner here as they fight a fusion reactor and an advanced fusion reactor. It's a pretty easy matchup between those two. Boom. There's the blue base. And not much remains for Resurrection either. We do have the nuke. It looks like it either didn't fire or it never found a connection here because
Commander
0 kills.
destroyed.
And down it goes, never having fired a nuke. The blue team is forced to relent as the red has completely killed their backline economy.
Commander
A beautiful hold
self-destructed.
on the left and right hand sides as they manage to recuperate, rejuvenate, and retaliate. Managed to wrap that one up quite nicely. Thanks a ton for
Battle
watching,
ended.
folks. I sure hope you enjoyed this match, and I hope if you have a match of your own that was epic, you'll consider dropping it in the Discord, which I do have a dedicated replay submissions channel for, where it may be featured here. But only send your best, because we get quite a few of them nowadays, and I'm only taking the best of the best. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, folks, and I will see you again in the very next match of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.